Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. So this time, what about teachers? You know them, you love them. If you know one, get them to the TV now. If you have kids in school, get them to the TV now. What is it we really want our teachers to do? To find out from a great DPS school teacher? I'm assuming you're a great teacher.
I hope so.
You think so?
I think so.
Jon Peterson, thank you. Now, you teach history, right?
United States history and economics.
And how we doing?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
You do it at East High School?
East High School, yes.
You realize that all the kids that hate you are watching right now making fun of you.
I bet.
Yeah, I can imagine. And from the Education Policy Center at the Independence Institute, Pam Benigno, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jon.
All right, I want to ask you, everybody gets evaluated in their jobs. I understand you are part of a union contract, and largely there's not a lot of wiggle room in what you get paid, although that's changing. But teachers get evaluated, don't they? I'm just like anybody else.
Yes, we do.
How?
There's a system of evaluation that Denver Public Schools is actually piloting, and has been now. This will be the second year, and it is called LEAP, which it's an acronym. I don't want to go into that, but we're over a large number of categories or indicators.
So every year your boss sits down and says, well, Jon, you could use a little improvement in this category, but you're doing really well over here, right?
It's every year now. Before last year, it was every 3 years for teachers who were not probationary.
All right. Before we get into the meat of it, let's get just a wee bit wonky on this. What's changed? I'm assuming that teachers have always been evaluated, which always seemed a little silly to me, given that they're on, a union contract and they get paid mostly by their tenure and not so much by their productivity. Has something changed?
Yes, Senate Bill 191 passed a couple of years ago. It was a teacher effectiveness bill that really changed the way that teachers are going to be evaluated, because it's coming from the state down now. The state is saying that you're going to have to evaluate teachers, and the state board has come up with a rubric, a template that districts need to use, meet or exceed. And right now, this year, there are several districts that are piloting, and Denver is one of them.
All right, so they're coming up with, got a new law, we're going to have to find out how teachers are doing. And there's a reason for this, particularly in DPS. DPS has a bit more incentive because some of your pay can come from these evaluations. Am I misunderstanding ProCom?
No, that's true. And there are other districts that are working on and have pay for performance systems. And so evaluation certainly can affect the way somebody's paid.
So almost like working in the private sector, you want a good review because it could mean
more money.
More money.
Yeah, Jon,
do you need that?
I like money.
You like money?
It also could affect if they are able to keep tenure or not, because with this new law, teachers can actually lose their tenure.
Really?
Yes, they can.
So there's a carrot and a stick here, that if a teacher does very poorly, they could lose their protection for their job. And if they do very well in a district that has some sort of pay for performance incentive like DPS, you can actually make a little bit of money. This is good stuff, right?
I agree.
This is good stuff, right?
I agree.
Then what the hell's your problem? What are you whining about?
I don't know if I'm whining.
Well, don't worry. By the end of the show, I'm going to get you whining.
But I would say I'm here to bring up or complain about at least a piece of the evaluation system, and what an expectation is for a teacher to be considered distinguished, which would be the highest level.
And that's what you want. I mean, you've been teaching now for what, 20?
This is my 27th year.
27th year. That's a lot of students.
It is, yes.
And you want to be distinguished. I'm assuming that everybody who's into teaching wants to be recognized if they do well. So the district puts forward, here are the things we want you to do, and before we can say you're distinguished, you have to do these things.
Right.
All right, well, that seems like a pretty good plan, doesn't it? I mean, this is a large bureaucracy. You want to let employees know what their expectations are before they go.
Absolutely, that's a great thing to do, and Denver Public Schools has put together their own, looking at what the state has put out as a template. Although Denver was they had a program they piloted last year too, right, that looks very different in one particular area this year. All
right, why don't we get to the meat of it? Pam, tell me, what is it that caught your attention when teachers started saying, wait a second, could you guys over at II take a look at this? Pam, would you look at this? And it's kind of interesting. What are they getting graded on? when it's time to grade the teachers.
How about if we show the audience
All right.
exactly what it is?
Tell you what, let's bring up the first one. This is, in order to be a distinguished teacher, your school teachers need to be doing this for their students.
So this is the indicator first. This section demonstrates knowledge of interest in, respect for diverse students, communities, and cultures in a manner that increases equity.
Well, that seems like a pretty nice thing. We want that. All right, let's go to the next one, though.
So this is the behavior that the evaluator needs to see coming from teachers.
All right, so the guy who's the manager needs to see this coming from guys like John.
Encourages students to challenge and question the dominant culture. Encourages students to take social action to change / improve society or work for social justice.
This is getting interesting. All right, one more. Let's go to this last slide.
And the evaluator needs to see this behavior from the students in the class, that the students appear comfortable challenging the dominant culture in respectful ways.
I've been in politics a long time. I've been doing this kind of work for a couple decades, and there are certain code words for leftist behavior. One of those is challenging the dominant culture. The one that really gets me is social justice. Now, John, you're going to be evaluated. If you want to make more money as a teacher, if you want to be considered a distinguished teacher, am I understanding this right? DPS is saying you've got to teach your kids to buck the system and to work for social justice, and their behavior is that they have to challenge authority. Am I missing this?
That's what it sounds like to me. Now, I am not quite sure what the district means by those, but I also follow politics quite a bit and understand those to be very left-wing terms that are used, and maybe code words. And the dominant culture typically would mean anything outside of what the left wing wants to do.
So, but the term social justice,
right.
There are groups that work towards social justice. What that usually means is equity in outcome, not equity in starting the race, but making sure everybody's equal at the end.
Yeah, it can mean spreading the wealth. It can mean whatever somebody wants it to mean. And it's definitely code words. And I did a little searching on DPS's website on the dominant culture issue, and I found a teacher assignment that was a sample assignment that was very, very honest and said the dominant culture is white Americans. And she was encouraging her students to not be assimilated, but to take a stand.
So let me see if I got this one. So as an example of how to be graded if you want to get your raise, it said, here's a good example of a class assignment. Show me how you will not be assimilated into, quote, white culture, but you're going to buck that.
In a sense, it wasn't directly related to this evaluation. However, it's on their website. And there's different samples of teacher work up there. And I've been trying to figure out what is the dominant culture, but how does any teacher really know? And this is clear across all grades, all subject matter.
So let me see if I understand this one. So my kid's in kindergarten, and that kindergarten teacher will be judged to be distinguished if she can get Timmy to work for social justice, and the kid has to show some behavior in that. You're a teacher. You've been a public school teacher as well. When you see these code words, what does it mean to you?
Well, I truly believe that this is an abuse of power. And, maybe a few district employees, I don't know, somebody has added this to this system, and they're obviously trying to push their extreme agenda. And they're using the teacher evaluation system to use it. And I think it's just absurd.
We talk about how kids form their theories in school. And right now we have a government-run system of education. And I don't know if you know this, but I want you to teach my kids how to read. I really want you to teach my kids how to read. That would be wonderful if they left school knowing how to do arithmetic and how to read and how to absorb things and judge and to read books so that they can make their own decisions. I never expected that when I sent my kid to school, a good, distinguished teacher would be turning my kids into social revolutionaries.
I feel the same way. My children all graduated from Denver Public Schools and have gone on to college and either are doing well or on the way to doing well.
Don't worry, if they're going to see you,
Yeah.
they're learning this
They're doing
stuff
well.
anyway. So,
Yeah.
but as a teacher, when you see this, what are you supposed to do? What is the command from the school system to you? You're an employee. What are they telling you to do?
Well, nothing yet, fortunately, other than this. The furthest we have gotten so far, being early in the school year, is just to see this. And all we have been told is how many times we will be evaluated.
Every teacher in DPS has had access to this. This has been given and said, we're going to evaluate you on your ability to raise radicals.
I know teachers at East High School, where I teach, have been given this. I don't know about the other schools. I assume they have.
What do you expect teachers to do? I mean, it takes, teachers are not known for their love of conflict, but still, you're standing up and saying that you object to this. And I want to know why. Why? You've been in the system 27 years.
And I will object anytime I see something like this, and have never had a problem doing that. And I guess I'm fortunate to currently work at a school where people do that. People will object, and people will stand up if they see something that they don't like. I would object to being expected to even do something or encourage students to do something outside of learning the subject which I teach, and to apply skills that they would learn.
Do these incentives matter to a teacher? I mean, when they lay down and say, hey, if you want to get your pro-comp raise, here's what you're going to be evaluated on. I'm assuming that teachers look at that and say, I'm going to do my best.
Oh, I think teachers really want to do their best. Unfortunately, the amount of money offered as an incentive for the evaluation is relatively small, so it probably doesn't play a big part for teachers to be evaluated. I think the primary thing in being evaluated is, one, I think teachers want to do a good job and want to be seen by their peers and administrators as being effective teachers.
In your 27 years, have you ever had an evaluation that said, John, we're going to evaluate you on whether or not you can teach your kids to challenge authority, and we're going to see if you can teach your kids to work for social justice?
No, I have not.
Not once in 27 years.
This is new.
So this has never happened before.
No.
You know, however, John, it is entrenched in the education system. Some of this is coming out of the teacher colleges. Parents need to be aware. They need to be listening and talking to their kids, I believe, especially in DPS, about these types of issues. Let's face it, in DPS, roughly 50% of the kids across the board in that district cannot even read at grade level. In math, it's the same, sometimes worse. Maybe 77% can't even do math at 10th grade level, 10th graders. And yet they're going to spend time and have teachers being concerned about these types of issues. Yes, they need to respect cultures and respect diversity in the classroom. This is way beyond that. It's way beyond suggesting to students in a political science class or government class that they go and work on a campaign. Hey, that was my first campaign, was in high school, because a teacher had that assignment. That's great. This is something totally different, much, much more.
So if I'm a teacher and I'm trying to be distinguished, I want to be the best teacher in DPS, and I spend nights looking at this, and I say I'm going really well, and I look at this last one that says I've got to teach my kids to challenge authority. How does that work with even being a teacher? Because I am that authority in that classroom.
Well,
I don't want to teach the kids to challenge my authority.
And you know, it says dominant culture, and so that's going to depend on how a teacher is going to interpret that. For a child, the dominant culture, they may not be thinking white Americans, but that may be mom and dad, that's school, maybe that's church. It could be anything. And so to encourage kids not only to question, but to challenge it. to challenge
And the wording
it.
is interesting. It's not to question.
Well,
it is
to
to challenge.
question and challenge.
So we have to challenge the dominant culture.
Yes.
All right. Well, I could make an argument here. I like this. The dominant culture in education is a government-owned system. I wouldn't mind if families started challenging that. I wouldn't mind if the social justice was to work for free market reforms, including educational vouchers and choice. I would like that, but I've got a feeling that's not what they're looking for. What do you and your colleagues plan on doing to promote social justice? And when I see social justice, I see the Occupy movement. You know, they hold the signs that say social justice. And now, if you don't bring your kids to the Occupy movement, you're not going to be distinguished.
Now, my first move was to, I guess, challenge the dominant culture, because I went in and argued the similar type of thing, that I was not comfortable doing this, and I had a real problem with an expectation. And even as a history and economics teacher, where those types of issues are going to come up in the classes that I teach, that I would be very uncomfortable encouraging my students in my class to go out and try to perform some kind of social action to achieve social justice, which whatever that means. To me, a social action or some action to improve society or achieve social justice is like what you said. It's more to bring the free market, to lower taxes, to
why do I have a sneaking suspicion that's not what DPS meant when they put in social justice? So what guidelines have they given teachers to describe what that means? I understand education has this whole linguistic world that I don't quite get. I don't get the lexicon. But how do they back this up? When they say, judge me on it, how do you judge? I get reading and writing scores. How do you judge that?
I don't know. I really don't know how they're going to judge it, unless a teacher, if they can prove that they have sent their kids to a Occupy Denver event, or what if they sent them to a Tea Party rally? Then maybe they'll be distinguished then.
I have a feeling teachers who send their kids to Tea Party rallies are not going to be distinguished. What about the math teacher? Now, I had a great algebra teacher, Mrs. Swickard, back in high school. That poor lady, she put up with more stupidity from me than possible, and she kept with me, and she was a great teacher over at Heritage High. And I'm trying to find out, when she's teaching me algebra, exactly how is she going to teach me to challenge the dominant culture, other than to say, I don't want to do homework. And how do you have social action and social justice in a math class?
That's a good question. I have no idea how. I wish I could come up with an answer as to what that would look like, but I sure can't. Yeah.
What about kindergarten?
Yeah,
Kindergartners, first grade,
throw your
second
blocks.
grade.
If you're in kindergarten, please throw your blocks at your parents. Call it social justice. I want to stay up late too. Hey, I'm assuming that the unions have come up to defend teachers on this, because this seems very vague. It seems like something that the unions would say, wait a second, you can't force our teachers to do something that you haven't even described. So I'm assuming that the CEA in Colorado has taken up this fight to change this.
Not that I know of. I would assume that the Denver Classroom Teachers Association has been involved in this process, or at least has been watching it carefully. They're involved in everything that the district does, whether it's the pro-comp, the professional compensation program, or pay for performance program, that might be a better term.
Are you suggesting to me, I look inquisitively, that the union for DPS's employees might actually support this social justice campaign?
I would assume. I know that the union definitely is all in for, say, President Obama's re-election, and for the election of
Let me speculate just a little bit further on this. Is
left.
it possible that if the union and the school district teaches kids to work for social justice, work for social change, that in the end that's going to help those very unions who want equality of outcomes? You don't have to answer that one. I'll just pose that as a possibility.
Well, let's just say that I did a lot of searching for words on DPS's website and took a look at the CEA, Colorado Education Association website, and lo and behold, there's some of those words. And same with the NEA. So it's nothing they're hiding. They're very supportive of social justice.
What about
working
help
for
me,
that?
Pam, there are instructors like Jon who don't agree with this, and they pay union dues, and those union dues go to these organizations who are pushing for social justice and social change. Now, are you a union member?
I am not. Fortunately, in Colorado, we don't have to be.
All right, so you're not a member.
I am not.
Has anybody slashed your tires because of that, or
No.
was it pretty easy to get out of the union?
Oh yes,
What did you have to do?
I was a union member. I just went down to the union office, which interestingly enough is very close to the state education department's office, and filled out a form to quit. Unfortunately, you can only do that, I think, in the fall of every year. There's a tight time window that's part of the contract.
So if you don't quit the union within a certain time frame, you're stuck.
In Denver, there's a 15-day window in November.
What about for all the other school districts, for teachers who might be watching?
It just depends. Jeffco, it's September 1 through the 15th. In Aurora, it's July 1st through August 10th, so they've already missed it.
If people want to get more information about how to get out of the union or how to get some of their union money back, where do they go?
Independentteachers.org.
And what will they find at independentteachers.org?
First of all, it's our website, so it's fantastic. They're going to find out all their options, including being a member of the CEA on that website. They're going to find out about the opt-out windows. They're going to find out about the every member option, which is the political portion of their dues that they can get back as well. In 2010, the CEA and its affiliates reported $1.4 million spent on political campaigns. This is going to be a great season for that. And some teachers are going to want to get that portion of their dues back.
Or they want to spend their own political money on the candidates that they like.
Yeah,
exactly. And they can do that.
Yeah.
So what does it cost to be in the union? What do you save every year not being in the union? Is it about $700?
I think it's $50 to $60 a month.
Okay, so it adds up.
What it is, right.
Are you part of anything else in the
Yes, I am. I belong to the Professional Association of Colorado Educators, which is an educators or teachers organization that's not a union.
It's like a professional organization for teachers.
Right.
And they provide stuff for you.
Yes.
What do they provide?
Liability insurance, professional information. They did a survey on teachers. There'd be professional development.
They did a survey on this, didn't they?
Right.
On the DPS. And I'm just curious, out of the teachers surveyed, how many of them liked the new evaluation criteria that we teach our kids to be social radicals?
I was told that 76% said they were very uncomfortable applying these types of things in their teaching.
Incredible. And PACE also costs about $700 a year?
No, I believe it's $18 a month, so that's quite a bit less.
Quite a bit less. If parents are watching this and they're upset, and I think they should be upset, what do you do? I mean, it's hard to fight City Hall. It's hard to go up there and because we love our teachers. I mean, even we always dislike the other school's teachers. Our school we like, and I feel the same way with my kids. They go to a government school, and their teachers are wonderful, and I think they get a lot of great value. But I look at something like this, and it blows my mind that it's so blatant as to be on the evaluation sheet. Are you teaching kids to be social radicals? If so, then we'll grade you higher. What do parents do?
Well, I think parents just absolutely have to take a stand on this. The parents that disagree with it need to. I think they need to let the school board know. I think they need to let the superintendent know. They can let their teachers know, but the teacher doesn't have much to do with it. They're taxpayers. This is taxpayer money that's paying for this system. There are 15 people in the office that run this program.
Excuse me? What?
15 people.
Who won what program?
The LEAP office.
So they're the ones who take care of the evaluation.
Well, it's the LEAP office. They have a lot to do with it, yeah.
So there's 15 people.
Not that there aren't other people doing the evaluation, principals and so forth.
So there's 15 people who work on the evaluation process, and those people are the ones who brought forward this.
Well, they were part of it, certainly, yes.
Yeah.
But they had a task force.
Do they teach? Are they teachers? They do this on the side?
I don't think so. Not in the LEAP office, I wouldn't think. But nonetheless, I think parents need to let people know. I think parents need to really be watching and talking to kids. And if they hear some stories, I'll take them at tips, T-I-P-S, at i2i.org, and let me know what's going on in the classroom.
What kind of things are you looking for? Be more specific.
I would like to hear if their child has been encouraged to go out and do something, something radical, or I don't care if it's really conservative or liberal. Just let me know. Is this happening? A teacher that could have a totally different belief system than me can be a fabulous teacher. They just need to teach the math, teach the reading, teach what they need to teach. Meet state standards. They don't have to go off into these other areas.
Your offer is a genuine one. You want to hear if parents whose kids have been taught to do things outside of education.
Yeah, or students. If you're a junior high, middle school, or high school student, you want to write me at tips@i2i.org. Let me know what's going on in your classroom.
Just go to the Independence Institute website and find you there.
They can.
All right. Am I wrong? We've got less than a minute here, but let me ask you. This seems to be anti-teacher to me. Am I wrong about this? This seems to be telling teachers to do something they might not have signed up for. Am I reading this wrong when the DPS says you will be graded as a teacher, you will be evaluated on how well you teach kids to embrace social justice?
Well, I think you're correct. I think that it is something that a lot of teachers, including teachers that may very well politically agree with the concepts of social justice and questioning the dominant culture. But
that's great.
Okay.
All right, I hope they get to you. Pam, thank you. John, thank you. And mostly thank you. Hey, listen for me Sunday evenings on KHOW Radio. That's 630 KHOW. Look us up at independenceinstitute.org. We'll see you next week.